What made you decide to do stand-up comedy?
Grew up in a divorced household, and I can remember as young as 9 or 10 years old, knowing that the two sides of the family were going to get together, and what could I do to have them laugh when they're in the same room. Now, I had wanted to do comedy when I was 19, and my dad was like, no, you're not doing comedy.
He's like, yeah, nice try, kid.
Yeah, nice try. So I got a J-O-B. So that never happened. So 14 years later, I'm at a bachelor party. One of my best friends, and still is to this day, went over to John Parada, who's like a legend in Rhode Island comedy. He's been doing it for almost 3 decades. Just a great, great, great guy. Said, my friend Billy has a book of material that he's always writing, but he doesn't have the balls to get up on stage. So we were hanging out, and John came up over to me and he says, hey, Willie. He's the only one that calls me Willie. He's like, hey, Willie, rumor going around that you got a book of material, but you don't have the balls to use it. And he's like, I have an open mic night. You want to do 3 minutes, 4 minutes? And I'm like, nope. And all he did was slide the card over and go, don't be in a nursing home someday or on the way out of this earth and go, I should have tried it. Well, we go out after, it's on my mind. Well, it was only a couple weeks before my honeymoon. And wouldn't you know, the whole honeymoon, we're in Hawaii, all I can think about is when I get back home, I gotta do 3 minutes on stage. Because we landed, and then like 2 nights later was the show. When you never do it and you gotta go on stage for the first time, my stomach was turning. I was like, oh, that's no good, that's no good. Now I'm going through all my old notes. I'm like, I don't like any of this. All of a sudden, everything stinks. Eddie Galvin's like, Billy, I got some advice for you. I'm like, anything. And he's like, don't suck.
Great.
And then I took about 3 years off, where I just, I got married and had kids, and then after the divorce happened, I was in a 1-bedroom apartment, and total life had flipped around, and it was like, I need to learn how to laugh again.
This is getting very serious. I'm waiting for the Full House music to cue in. Like, remember the last couple minutes of Full House where they Danny would have to have a very serious talk with the girls or whatever.
You want to be Danny?
And the music kicks in. It's like, and then it ends with like a laugh, and the dog's wagging his tail or whatever, and everybody's pumped again. I feel like you can never shut it off either. Even though you stopped for a while, you never shut it off.
Because
I'm sure
it's
still in your head.
Yeah. It was just like, if I'm gonna do it, I gotta go hard and I gotta go big. So I started hosting my own show at Foxwoods. After about 8 months, they're like, why don't you do the middle? Why don't you feature? And about a year after that, they said, why don't you headline your own show and catch a rising star? Did a couple of contests in New York and Mohegan, and why don't I just start paying it forward and say, let's just bring some comedy locally and do fundraisers for people. I met Mike at a golf tournament. He was doing a set. So he approached me with the idea about Funny for Funds. Funny, the number 4, funds, raising money. And that's what we launched it. We launched it 6 months ago. We average about $5,000 to $7,000 per show. And then the $15,500 record, which was for a heart transplant, only lasted 6 days. 6 days later, someone made $21,000 at one of our shows for a kidney transplant. So it doesn't matter whether it's corporate gigs, special needs, medical, expenses, just laugh, treat people nice, and attack.
Your best performing experience and your worst?
Right in the middle of my act when I was headlining, they looked like ants. All the waitresses were coming out and handing out bills for people.
While you're talking?
While I'm talking. There's usually a crescendo of that energy as you're coming out and you're gonna close strong. And next thing I know, I can hear people talking at the tables, and they're, oh, you got the chicken wings. No, you had 2 Bud Light. At one point, I just sat down, and I was like, no, finish your bill. Right? It's like, no, finish it. No, I want to know who had the Bud Light. That's what I'm saying. You had chicken fingers, buddy. You don't need chicken fingers, right? Have a salad. And so it became comical, but that was like one of the worst moments on stage. When you literally feel the energy getting sucked out of the room and their heads turning away from you. So towards the end, it was like, I just finished up with a little bit, and I said, I'd like to thank the waitresses and waitresses. I'd say one of the best ones was when I was out in Reno. It was motorcycle week. Earlier that day, there was a shooting down the road in between 2 motorcycles. So here they are, they're all sitting there, and all you can smell is pot. And I did a motorcycle bit. It's like all of a sudden, I turn around, all these people are standing up, and they're like, and when I tell you, they're like pointing, they're like, yeah. Awesome. It was like one of those moments on stage where you went from not knowing how this is going to go to, I never expected that.
What's like the ultimate goal right now?
Listen, if a comedian tells you that they don't want to get bigger and be more well-known, then 1, they're lying, and 2, why are you doing it? There's so many fantastically amazing comedians out there. So bringing it back to what I can accomplish is raising more money for people and just saying, not only do myself and a lot of other comedians that we use have a gift to make people laugh, but if we can help you raise money along the way. So I think right now I would love to really work on branding Funny for Fun. So personally, comedy, whatever happens, listen, I'm happy, I'm where I want to be in my life, my kids are healthy, I'm healthy, things are good.
And you've obviously made it to the big time because you're on Beverages with Brad, which is basically, you've hit it. You've hit the peak. Yeah. It's all downhill from here, Bill.